and welcome back. The topic for today is discrimination. But before we start talking about discrimination, I want to give you two statistics. And these numbers are as of January 2023. At that time, women were CEOs at 10% of Fortune 500 companies. And on average, women earned about 83% of what men earned. Now, depending upon your perspective and how long you've been or not been in the workplace, you may think these numbers are wonderful or terrible. Now, myself, having started my career, 50 years ago, they sound much better than then. Because at that time, there were less than 2% of women who were CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. And at the time, I and most women earned about 60% of what men earned, which, by the way, is about similar. That 60% of what men earn is about the same that women of color earn today, especially Black and Latina women. Now, first, I wanted to define discrimination. Discrimination is when a person is not treated fairly because of how they look or how they identify themselves. And some examples are the color of your skin, being female, being a member of the LGBTQ community, or being elderly. Now, women have been discriminated against for a very long time. We couldn't even vote in the US until 1920, the year my mother was born. And also, over the years, it's been very difficult for women to break into certain industries. For example, the tech industry is still lagging behind today in 2023 in terms of their percentage of women. But we've come a long way. And I think that's really important to remember. And not only have we come a long way, it is my firm belief that women will continue to succeed and increase their numbers as CEO and other executive and leadership positions. And the reason for that is that uh, women possess these left brain and right brain skills, the masculine and feminine skills, the analytical thinking skills, as well as the creative collaborative skills. And that in the future is what is going to be needed. And we'll talk about that more in some later videos. First, I want to tell you an experience that I had early on in my career. And I'm not suggesting that this would occur today, but on this particular day, I was invited to a celebratory luncheon. And two of my male colleagues and I were walking, and all of a sudden we turned, or they kind of turned me down an alley. And the alley was full of black cinders, which I was very concerned about because I had just bought a new pair of white high heeled shoes. And I was afraid they were going to be ruined. Anyway, before long, we were at the back of a building. It looked really dirty with a turnstile entrance. Nothing about the situation looked right to me. And I was saying, why are we walking here as I was exiting the turnstile? And there was a bellman. And he looked at me and he said, "Why, don't you know, ma'am? Women aren't allowed through the front entrance." I can't tell you how shocked and upset I was. I could hardly talk. We all took an elevator to the second floor, and then I was escorted to a table with 7 other men. And as I looked around, I saw no other women. Now, as I look back, all I could think of was, I don't want to cry. I don't want them to know how upset I am. I don't want to humiliate myself by sitting here and crying or having to leave the table. So I just made it through the luncheon and then left. Now, looking back, there are several things I really wish I had done. First of all, when I found out that I couldn't walk through the front entrance, um, I could have not gone in. That would have been easy. That would have been simple. I could have written a letter to the restaurant, the company, told them what happened. I could have contacted the NOW, the Now organization, that was just starting to picket for women. But here's what I really wish I could have done. And I certainly didn't have the capability at that time. But I wish I had stood up, waited till everybody settled down, and then taken a glass and a knife or fork, clicked on it, and got their attention and say, "Gentlemen, I want to tell you what just happened to me and what I expect you to do." Now, like I said, I didn't have the self confidence, I didn't have the courage. What actually happened was my two wonderful male colleagues, they wrote a letter on my behalf and got a lot of signatures. So, in the next videos, I'm going to be talking about specific forms of discrimination. And I'm going to tell you what I did, how I handled it, and in hindsight, what I wish I had done. Now, with that, I'd like to get into the questions for today. Question one: has blatant discrimination been replaced by more subtle forms of discrimination? Can you identify ways in which you or other women are still being discriminated against? Question two: have you seen another woman being discriminated against? If so, what did you do? And what do you wish you had done? Question three: do you ever feel angry about how you are being treated in the workforce? Do you sometimes feel as if you are being kept away from your dream career or dream job? And if so, what should you do about it? Now, the next video is going to be another form of discrimination, and I call it sexual harassment. Thank you for listening today, and I hope to see you next week.